Working on gaps is rather exciting, and I've got two more examples that I'm going to show you. And again, these are down gaps, and they are up touches from are in the trend red and trend green into the trend trio lines. And they're very typical for what we see. The two vertical lines represent those days, and as you can see, they're decent sized gaps. I've got the price chart, the price window and the candle window squished up to the top so that we can easily view these a little bit better. Also, I'll just reference, you do have the opportunity to put on a full screen button that would open this up larger so you can see this a little bit better, because I know the visibility is not always the best when you're in these window capture videos. I did a previous video that I recall on gaps down, and it had to do with trend red and trend green under the trio lines near zero. But I recall them being a 2-day. Red and green were up 2 days, and then they almost touched the blue line or went just over the blue line, and then there was a significant gap down. And these are significant gaps. This one here is on the gap day, or before the day before the gap. It closed at 185.08, and then it went down to a low of 161.90, which is like, 24, 23 bucks. And then it went back up. It had a high and low of 161.90 to 175.13. So that's like, the candle itself on the day after this green vertical line was $13 range, high to low. That's just on that candle alone, you could have made some significant advances. But in this example, the first thing I'll point out to you on the vertical line on the right is that the three narrow lines, trend red, green, and gray, are all up, and the three wide lines, or the trio, the short-term trend lines, are all down. And so you've got the narrow in a divergent condition with the wide lines or the short-term trend lines. And that was probably the first thing, one of the first things that we spotted when we started with the trend chart many years ago. And then we saw a lot of different varieties of how just the red and green could be up. You didn't have to have the gray and things like that. But so often the red and the green, they can be a little bit above the blue, above zero, but most of the time you'll find them underneath the trend trio lines, and the trend trio lines can be a little under or a little over the zero line. In going into the zip chart, we have in this case we have a zip yellow as highest, and we're also looking at a little bit of a triple top going down pattern in the zip yellow and the zip blue. And that doesn't hurt a bit to have one of those if you find them. They won't appear on any of the candle stuff. You can't hardly see them unless you're inside this system. But they're a very effective way to identify a triple top. And sometimes you get divergence. One's going up and the other one's going down. And the uh, the power chart has the power white up touching the green and orange line, as well as the power Zion is doing the same thing, up touching the green and orange. I think the Zion's a little over the green, but again, it doesn't have to be under it, or it has to be over it. It can be nearby it, because it's not an exact science, but we get it, but it's pretty darn close. Then down in the swing chart, I'll point out here that swing gray is going down and it's above zero, and this is almost a predetermined condition for all of the up touches that we have found. Most of them are above zero, you know, but not all of them. The one on the left is a little bit different type of variety from the one on the right, but I spotted both of them when I was looking in this symbol. And we're in MSTR, and we're in June and July of 2016. And the example on the left also has in the zip chart a red peak, and with zip yellow at 29, zip red at 79, so we're about 50 points apart, which is pretty good. The one on the left is a classic example. If you, again, I'm not sure which order you're watching the videos in, but in the past I've talked about how zip red is just the exact opposite of this. Trend red will go down below zero, and then trend green will either down touch zero or down touch one of the other lines. And what this is doing is just the opposite. It is going above the zero line. Trend red is going above the zero line, and trend green is up touching one of the other lines. In this case, it's up touching pink. Looks like it's almost up touching yellow, but based on the reaction that I see from the next 2 days, it looks like it's a pink up touch, simply because in this one here, this one closed at 182.94. The next day it closed at 172.60, and the third day it closed at 167. So from 167 to 182, that's quite a significant drop. All right, other way around, 182 to 167, a significant drop. In this particular situation on the left, the trend gray is going down, which in the other example it was going up, and that is obviously not as significant, because we do have both situations that result in a gap down. So I will point out again, if you didn't, because I haven't pointed it out on most videos, but notice the lines under the 7 short-term trend lines. You've got a grouping down here under. They come up, they up touch the green line, the power green, but all of the lines except for the Zion are are below the power green and power orange. Same is true pretty close in the swing lines. They're not all under the green, but they're all under zero. But the key element is they're under the short-term trend lines, not necessarily under zero. And when you're looking at groupings of lines, like on this one over here on the right, you have the red and the green under the trio. On this one here, your wide lines are considered your zip yellow and zip blue. They're separated a little bit, but all the lines are under zip yellow. And the zip yellow and blue are considered our wide lines on the zip chart. They're in the perspective of being slow, they're not, but they do have some attributes whereby we consider them to be wide. And in fact, they're drawn in wide, as you can tell. But we don't count them for, they react differently. The zip chart is just that. We created a group of lines that are really fast. And so the chart's jumpy looking, and so you know, it's just that's the way it is. The other consideration that you might look at here is on the left vertical green line. We are actually in a high M pattern, which again, if you've listened to any of the or watched any of the videos about high M patterns, this one here happens to be a 3-day high M pattern, and some of them are high M right peak higher, and others like the Power Zion are high M right peak lower. That again is divergence. When you see high M's, one group is higher than, and then the other group is lower, that's a definite call for investigation. Just because you have something divergent, you can't tell which price direction it's going to go. But you can tell which price direction it's going to go by looking at the pattern. High M patterns go down. Right leg W patterns go up. So it's a matter of becoming familiar with the patterns. There's on the documents index, I've got there's 32 items. I think it's number 20 is the pattern types, and the pattern types is a one page, it's a one document, but it's quite long, and the top of the document has patterns up, and the index is directly under that, and there's 24 patterns within the patterns up category. Same is true down at the bottom of that document. The patterns down, price down, are seen, and you can read through that and become familiar with how things operate on each of the patterns. And don't forget the rules. It's called rules, indicator rules document. That document gives you the standard rules for what a pattern needs to do. The pink-green pattern, for example, has a lot of variety because it can last 4, 5, 6, 7 days long. And there's conditions that occur, but one of the conditions is that zip pink comes back down next to green, but prior to it going in price. And that happens 99%, 95% of the time. And there is when zip green and zip Zion are together, keep in mind both of those are tracking buyers in and out of the stock. So when zip when zip green is at 0, people are leaving the stock. When zip Zion is out at 0, a lot of people are leaving the stock. And of course the other way around at 100. At 100 with zip Zion, there's a lot of people coming into the market. But all that being said, these two indicators show us, or I should say, we can identify with what happens, or we see what is happening with them. I mentioned the swing gray. It's always coming off of a peak when you have these downtrend items and or downtrend situations. And if I expand this a little bit, you'll see that swing yellow is constantly going down. And I pointed this out on a few other videos before the downtrend occurs. On the other side, we've got a little bit of a glitch there one day. It comes up right here on the end because we had a green candle, so we've got a little bit of a BOC higher pattern there. But that's the higher pattern in a long line, in a heavy line or a short-term trend line, is also indicative of a possible downtrend, subject to the conditions that you see inside of the example. Now, all of that said, the pattern on the left has 15. If you look at the trend red is in a BOC higher pattern, and there are 15 BOC higher pattern indicators on this day with the vertical green candle on the left. And that is in the category of, in the rules definition, from 12 to 20 indicators in one pattern usually constitutes a downtrend. With the condition that you have other examples of things going down. And what I mean by that, or what I'm trying to clarify by that, is you can find a pattern with 12 or 15 indicators all in one pattern on a particular day, and it will go down 5, 6, 7, 8 days in a row. The end result is the same as a gap down, but it takes longer to get there. The downtrend pattern that has these 12 to 15 indicators typically doesn't have anything else to go along with it. Whereas this pattern here on the left has several high-M patterns to go along with the BOC patterns. And if I looked closely, there's probably a few other things. One of the things is that power orange is just crossing under zero. And that can be significant because now, if you've heard me talk about the strength of power orange and green, when power orange is above zero going down, it's weak compared with when power orange is going down and under zero. I hope I said that right. I think I did. And same is true the other way around. If you've got power green and orange going up, power green and orange under zero are weak compared with power green and orange above zero. They tend to drive the price higher when they're above zero. So anyway, that you will find in the documents that I've laid that out in, I believe, the rules section. This right line here is a two-pattern category indicator. It has 11 BOC higher indicators on the day before the gap down, and it has 7 BOC lower lower pattern indicators. And so if 7 and 11 is 19, they're all in a BOC pattern, but 11 of them are higher and 7 of them are lower, and that qualifies as a two-pattern gap. And again, there's not a lot of, you have the power yellow in a triple top going down, as well as the zip yellow. And you even have it in the trend red, and you have it in a few others. And so that's, there's probably maybe 5, 6, 7 indicators that are showing a dropping triple top, or however you look at it. With that all said, those are what what these two patterns are like. I'm going to point out one thing just for your reference so that you know it. Part of our system, we have an alert system, which is basically a radar screen that has the different indicators in columns, and they are they turn the background color, or the box color turns a specific color, and that alerts you to what's happening. There's two alert systems that we have. The one is the aftermarket. That's $295. The gap alert system, which I'm just going to highlight the colors just to show you what it's all about. If you can imagine a radar screen, it's got 22 indicators, because that's how many 22 market force recognition indicators we have. It has several more columns. The maximum in the radar screen is 30. And we have, I don't know, 4, 5, 6 more columns that show us a few other different things. But you end up getting close to 30. And when a box turns a particular color, it will alert you to what we have here on the screen. And like a bottom of cycle, for example, the first one, when it's above 0, it's a green box and it has white text, and when it's higher, BOC higher, black text when it's a BOC lower. And you can run all the way down through these things and pick whatever thing you want, and it gives you a color code of the box. Like, for example, low angle on a peak is a pink box, and if it's up or down, it's black or yellow text. Now, page 2 is exactly the same thing, only page 2 is by color. So box color is on the left, a blue box, cyan box, gray box. You can do it by color on page 2 if that's quicker for you, or you can do it by pattern on page 1. It's just a 2-page box color code alert recognition color thing. I forgot about this trend trio action direction column that we put together. This is pretty handy. It has you can see that when the trend trio, that's the pink, yellow, and blue, and when the trend trio is above 0 and up, it's a green box. Above 0 and down, it's a dark green box. Under 0, it's a red box and down. And under 0 and up, it's a dark red box. And if the trend trio is in a BOC pattern, that would be at the bottom of a cycle. Now the trend trio is starting to turn and go up. Then it's a blue box with white text. And a TOC pattern on the trend trio is a yellow box with a dark red text. And that column is quite valuable. That will tell you a lot. I forgot to mention too, or I wanted to mention, the two alert systems we have are the aftermarket alert system. That's a system that's designed to be examined when the market closes, and there's a number of alerts on that system, and that's $295. The gap system is $795, and it's exciting when you have maybe 50 symbols on your screen, and you scroll, or you're scrolling down. Maybe you have, it depends on your computer. Maybe I should finish my idea here. I'm getting ahead of myself. And one of those lines lights up with the same color in about 15 to 20 of the columns right across the board. They're all yellow, or they're all whatever color. It's and that's indicative of a gap, one way or the other. You just got to go in and investigate it, figure out what it is. And I will point out too, because there's a lot of people out there that are much smarter than I am, and you can build your own code stuff, and that's fantastic. But after using this system for many years, we add things to the code lines, like this line should be less than 55, and that line should be between 20 and 70. There's different things thrown into this that make it reasonably valuable. And so I know you will benefit from it. I am absolutely positive of that in my heart. I am just definitely excited that you can find these and see them, because that was the hard part for us, and that was why we continued in our efforts to create this thing. It's taken a significantly long time to put this whole package together. But we are very pleased with the results. We hope you are too. Try it out try the alert system out for as much time as you want. If you can't figure out how you can find these alerts, because there's some, you take a handful of alerts that you find gaps on, and depending on what you can invest, you can easily make 5 or 10 times what the monthly fee is. So, the last thing I'll comment on too is your computer. Your computer may or may not be fast, and depending on what you're running, our screen pulls a lot of information with all those columns, and so depending on what you have, you might not be able to run 300 or 500 indicators at the same time. Just figure out what your computer is doing, and then just run those indicators, as many indicators as you can without your computer crashing, because we've crashed a few times over here. But I really hope you enjoy the system. I hope you will learn the system before you put money into the market. Gaps are a risky thing. I mean, we don't think they're risky because we know what we're doing, and we know what direction things are going. So even if it gaps, if it's supposed to gap down and it actually gaps up a little bit, it's gonna go in that direction. So by the end of the day, you're 9 chances out of 10 you're not going to get hurt if you ever got caught in a situation like that. But I really don't think can be the case. I've mentioned it in one part of my documents in the system that somehow we picked up, and I compared it to the supercomputers at the exchanges. Somehow we picked up the same information that they did, and I'm sure we only got a part of what they do, but somehow we stumbled into a method that mimics what the exchanges are doing. And I say that because I can't figure out any other explanation. The high probability ratios are phenomenal. I mean, 99%, and if we weren't tracking something identical as the people that are entering stuff into the exchanges are doing, we couldn't have those kind of ratios. I mean, there's a dozen patterns that are super high in their high probability ratio count, and so we are excited about it. It's a phenomenal opportunity. I'm glad you're here looking at it. Many people don't know about it, and we do have a referral system as well, but that's for another day. I am truly grateful. Keep investigating, keep looking around at what might be of interest to you, and we will go from there. Have fun trading.